All right, today we're going to solve equations using equation models. So that just means we're going to have pictures to help us solve the equations. So we're going to take this picture and we're going to write down the equation that it represents. So we have two x's. So this is two x's plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So plus 5. And that's equal to 9, okay? All right, so to solve an equation with the model, we use the pictures. So this is a balance, the equation's balance. So I can remove the same thing from each side. So I have 5 here, so I can remove 5 here. So I take away 5, and I take away 5. And the way we represent this algebraically is when we divide our equation in half, we circle everything that goes with the x. We want to make the x lonely, so we're going to get rid of the plus 5. To get rid of the plus 5, we minus 5. What we do to one side, we do to the other side. So that's what we did here. We took away 5 on each side. That's what we did here. Okay, so this zeroes out. So I have 2x, and then 9 minus 5 is 4. So that's what I have here, 2x. And I have 4 left over. So my last step is to divide. So each 1x matches up with 2. So over here, I divide by 2. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. Each x gets 2. Each x gets 2. All right, question 2 here. I have 5 x's. These are negative this time. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have negative 8 or minus 8. It's the same thing. And I have positive 2 on the other side. Okay. So I can take away the same thing from both sides, but I don't have the same thing this time. So I have to make 0 pairs. All right. So what we would do over here is we would circle everything that goes with the x. To get the x lonely, we would get rid of the minus 8. The opposite of minusing 8 is to add 8 to both sides. And that's what we're going to do over here. We're going to add 8 to both sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. Then this positive 8 and my negative 8 make what's called a 0 pair. And that's what we do over here. Minus 8 plus 8 makes 0. So I have 5x, 5x. I have, now I have 10 over here. So 5x equals to 10 because 2 plus 8 is 10. Then the last thing I do is divide. So each 1x matches up with 2. Each 1x gets 2 because when I divide both sides by 5, x equals to 2. All right, so number 3. I have 2 x's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negatives, so that's minus 5, and 3 negatives. All right. So I'm going to divide my equation in half, circle everything that goes with my x. To make my x lonely, I'm going to need to get rid of that minus 5. All right, so I'm going to add 5 to both sides, and that's going to make this x lonely because that's going to give me 0. That's what I'm going to do over here. I'm going to add 5 to both sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so I've added 5 to both sides. This makes 0 pairs because a minus and a negative make 0. All right, so then I have 2x, and then I have some negatives and some positives. So I'm going to make some more 0 pairs. So these 3 negative and these 3 positive, they're going to 0 out. They're going to make a 0 pair. So I'm left with 2x, then I have these 2 positives still here. All right, so I have, I've added 5 to both sides. That made 0. So I have 2x and a negative 3 and a positive 5. Remember your T-chart. We have negative 3 and positive 5. They're on different sides, so I subtract. So that's going to give me 2. 5 is bigger than the 3, so it's going to be positive. All right, so we have 2x, 2x. We have our plus 2 and our 2, which is kind of messy, but they're still there. And the last thing I do is to divide by 2, so that x equals to 1. And over here, each one of these x's matches up with 1. So x equals to 1. Okay, number 4. I have 4 negatives. That's equal to 4 negatives plus 3 x's. All right. So if I have the same thing on both sides, I can subtract it away. So I have 4 negatives on both sides. So I can subtract that away. Taking the same thing away from each side still makes my equation balanced. But I wind up with 3 x's over here, and I don't have anything over here. I've got nothing left. I've got 0. All right, and that's because my x is going to be 0. So I'm going to divide my equation in half, circle everything that goes with my x. To make my x lonely, I need to get rid of this minus 4. To get rid of the minus 4, I add 4. What I do to one side, I do to the other side. And I do that because that zeroes out. We just don't write that 0 because we still have our 3x. But over here, minus 4 plus 4 is 0. And if I divide by 3, 0 divided by 3 is 0. So x equals to 0. Gives you 4 examples. You're going to work the rest of the modeling problems on your own. So you will write out the equation just like I've done. You will take away the same thing from both sides, or you will make 0 pairs. All right, so you're going to work the next 6 problems on your own. Right? And then on question 11 through 15, I've thrown in some inequalities review, and I gave you some integer t-charts to kind of help you with those integer rules. All right, so you're going to work some inequalities now. Remember, you work it the same way you do solving for an equation. I gave you some integer t-charts to help you with those integer rules. All right, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to divide our inequality in half, circle everything that goes with our x. All right, we want to make the x lonely, so I have to get rid of the plus 12. To get rid of the plus 12, I subtract 12. What I do to one side, I do to the other side. This zeroes out. So I have 3x on this side, and then I have negative 3 and negative 12. And if it's on the same side of the t-chart, you add. If they're on different sides of the t-chart, remember you subtract. All right, so 3 plus 12 is 15, and they're both negative, so I get a negative 15. All right, last thing I do is to divide. 3's divide out, and then x, remember, is less than or equal to. Negative 15 divided by 3 is negative 5. Remember your sad man. Okay, so this is for multiplying and dividing only. All right, when we divide a negative by a positive, we cover up a negative and a positive, and our answer is negative. Okay, so you'll work the other 4 inequalities on your own.